Welcome to Technado with Don Pizzette, featuring sysadmin expert Don Pizzette, security specialist Daniel Lowry, and Peter.
Hello and welcome to Technado with Don Pizzette. I'm your host, Peter Van Rysdam, joined as always by Don Pizzette. Don, how's it going up there?
It is going great. You know, it's election week, a lot of fun things going on, but we can still pay attention to tech for a little bit.
It's election week. It's the beginning of the holiday season. We can move past Halloween into the good holidays like Thanksgiving. So that's exciting. We've got Daniel Lowry up there. Daniel, how's it going?
Going good. I voted early. So did my wife and my kids, my cat. And the cool thing is we voted multiple times, and we voted for every iteration of voting possibilities. That way we canceled all our own votes out, and that way I can say I voted, but I didn't.
But but it's not your fault, no matter what happens.
Exactly. See how that works? I'm hedging my bets.
Vote early and often. That's what they say.
That's right.
And we are joined also this week by Jeff Felice, who is the president of CertNexus. Jeff, how's it going?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me today.
Did you vote early or in person?
Yeah, voted early, voted once.
Just once.
And
no one likes a quitter, Jeff.
Yeah, bold move.
right.
Bold move.
Yeah.
You're supposed to say all the above. Yeah.
All the above,
early,
yes.
by mail, in person.
Yeah.
Where are you? Are you you're up in?
We're headquartered in upstate New York, Rochester, New York, but I'm based outside of Atlanta.
Atlanta.
myself.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. A swing state. We'll see how that
Yes,
goes.
yeah,
Very exciting.
Yeah, purple.
That's kind of what I wore today in honor of all the swing states. All right, well, we've got a lot to get to today. We're going to talk a lot about CertNexus, some cool stuff we have coming up because we're kind of celebrating a CertNexus month this month here at IT Pro TV, and so we'll talk about a couple of cool events coming up. But first, let's get to know Jeff a little bit more in our first segment, Rapid Fire Questions.
Who do you work for?
What's new?
Who are you?
What's happening?
What's wrong with you?
All right, Jeff, what we're going to do is run through some quick rapid-fire questions. You'll have 5 minutes to answer all these, roughly about a minute per question. If you run too long, well, Peter will buzz you with the buzzer that's apparently not working, but it will happen. He'll make the noise with his mouth. And then we'll move on and just kind of give us a chance to learn a little bit more about you and CertNexus. Peter, take it over.
All right, so Jeff, for first of all, the people that don't know much about CertNexus, what can you tell us about the organization in general?
Yeah, so CertNexus, we're a global certification body. We're focused on vendor-neutral emerging technologies, primarily all those that are associated with data, such as data science, artificial intelligence, IoT, and cybersecurity. And we provide industry certifications for technical professionals that want to advance their careers in those professions or enter those areas within emerging tech.
All right. Now, I know that you have a bit of a training background, and a couple of us, like Daniel and myself, have been IT trainers for a while, but now you're on the other side. You're on the certification side. So what has that been like? How are things different looking at IT from that perspective?
It's not the dark side. For a long time, I thought it might be, right? But really with certifications, what I've realized is much of what we've been doing as trainers or I've worked in publishing and e-learning businesses as well. As much of what we've been doing is developing skills and knowledge that map to certification, make people job ready. So I really look at the experience and training as facilitating much of what we're doing in the certification space, which is doing two things. One is making people job ready or advancing their careers. And the second is being able to validate skills, because one of the biggest challenges we see with employers is, how do I pick the right person? How do I know that they have the knowledge and skills they purport to have? So that's really what we're seeing with the space, and really that my training background has been very helpful as we advance our certification business.
Now, speaking of certifications, CertNexus has some really interesting certifications. What is on the roadmap for CertNexus in terms of new certifications?
Yeah, Daniel, we're really excited about our latest release, which was our Certified Ethical Emerging Technologist. What we had recognized is we were developing all these professionals that are focused around data, and yet what they're doing is they're leveraging data in a lot of times in intelligent systems, the use of AI, machine learning, deep learning. And what we recognized as that there was a need for them to do that in a responsible way. So to develop responsible technology. So we just recently, last week, in fact, launched our Certified Ethical Emerging Technologist certification to help not only people that want to be or tech ethicists, but also for AI and machine learning developers, data scientists, people that are manipulating data, engineering data, and then helping to automate our predictive outcomes with that. And then we're also just embarking right now on our next certification, which is our certified data science practitioner. So it will be a complementary product to our AI practitioner. Again, developing data science engineers.
You know, it's neat to see you guys getting into that space because, like, this time last year, everybody was talking about Cambridge Analytica, you know, and all the different things they were doing with that data, and then now they're no more. And we aren't really talking about it as much, but it's still a problem. And that was just one company. There's still other people that could benefit from an ethics lesson.
Oh, ethics,
yeah, exactly, Don. And to that point too is that. And if you haven't seen Social Dilemma on Netflix, I highly advise watching it. It just, again, furthers what we saw with Cambridge Analytica. But the challenge is there's more data being generated than ever before, and it's exponentially greater. And much of that is about us as individuals, right? And some of that is very useful and helpful to us, and the fact that it shortcuts our Google searches or whatever search engine we use, as well as a multitude of other conveniences it provides in shopping, et cetera. But we also have to realize that some people are using that data in nefarious ways, and we need to be aware of that as well.
See, I was going to use AI to take and pass the certification exam for me, but it sounds like that would kind of defeat the purpose. So, so you're involved with other stuff besides just CertNexus, and so I know, for example, you work with the NIST NICE working group. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so what we're doing within the NICE cybersecurity workforce framework, if people aren't aware of that, that has been developed over the past decade to help us better understand what are the job roles within cybersecurity. And then what we're working to do is propagate that out to industry. So hiring managers, HR departments, talent management are using that to when they're writing job descriptions and looking to validate skills on entry into jobs. And then it's also useful for individuals that are looking, again, to gain a career in cybersecurity or advance their career, so they can see, if I'm a network engineer today, how do I get to become an incident response analyst or a pen tester or whatever the chosen career may be.
It makes a lot of sense. So you're kind of seeing what the needs are, and then it kind of helps you when you're with CertNexus to kind of develop what those new certifications are. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Well, I want to get your take while we have you here on some big news recently. We're looking at an article in this case from the World Economic Forum, which is, I don't think we've ever gone to the World Economic Forum for news, so this is the first. But the title here is Why Skills and Not Degrees Will Shape the Future of Work. And so, Jeff, I'm curious your take on that, because we get that question a lot, and I'm sure right now with COVID too, you've got all kinds of people that are looking to maybe take the opportunity with a lost job to just change careers. And so we're seeing that question all the time of, do I go to college and get a degree for this, or do I get a certification? And if so, how many do I need to equal that? So what's your take on that whole debate?
Yeah, and I think what we're finding is that there's a greater emphasis on skills now. I always joke that I was an English lit major, so after 4 years of college, I was immediately unemployable, right? And so, and now what we're seeing is that degrees matter to a certain extent, especially in certain professions where, if you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, or when it typically ends up in licensure. So there is a certain amount of education that's required. But in many other professions, the fact is that skills are becoming the greater currency over degrees. Many times, if you think about on this show here, let's have a degree and how many are doing something within that degree. And maybe that degree helped us get us our first job, but our second, third, and other jobs were really based on the skills we acquired. So that's really the focus is more on skills and the continued acquisition of skills, right? And this is like, for example, what you do at IT Pro, right? You recognize that if I gained a certain skill set 2 years ago, that skill set may not be applicable 2 years from now or even today. So it really is all about, and not that education is not good. It is helpful. It's, I always say it's a unique period in your time, in a period in your life when you can go to college and do the things you do at college. We probably don't want to explain those or describe those here. But it's at the same time, it's not always the best it may not always be the best path towards a chosen career.
So you mentioned that a college degree helps you get that first job, but then it's your skills that do the second or third job as you move up the rungs of the IT ladder or whatever profession it is. Would you say that for somebody who dives right into certifications, who's like trying to build that skill first, is that does that carry enough clout on the resume to help them skip that first job, to kind of skip the entry level? Is it good enough for that?
I think it's going to be a combination of certifications, training certifications, and experience. I actually had an opportunity to live in the UK for 4 years, and they have a fantastic apprenticeship program in the UK. And if you're not familiar, there was a recent development in the US where we're starting to further develop apprenticeship programs here. And these are phenomenal programs. I'll use the UK as an example, but they have a program for essentially kids that are just exiting high school, or the equivalent of high school in the US, and it can be to any age, but where you spend 2 years, and over that 2 years, you're actually working for an organization, and then all your training's paid for during that period. So you think about it, if you enter the program with, just I would say basic fundamental IT skills, but during that 2-year period, you can become a network operating system administrator or a networking engineer, or potentially a data analyst or a data scientist, and you're gaining the experience over that 2-year period. That's the optimal opportunity for young people today, or anyone that's looking for a career change, or displaced worker, or someone that's transitioning out of the military. They may already bring some of that experience, and now you're just doing it through certification. So it really depends on the situation. But again, typically the combination of the two is the best.
I know I've heard multiple people talk about the apprentice program over in the UK and how they wish they had that here, and especially in the world of cybersecurity, where it's hard to get a job in cybersecurity without some kind of experience under your belt. But there's an almost catch-22 on this, in that a lot of companies aren't willing to bring on an intern in cybersecurity or bring in an apprentice, especially somebody unpaid, because of all the privacy laws and how we have to guard our PII and information like that. It's a lot of risk bringing in a high school student or somebody just to kind of shadow you while you work. Are you seeing where companies are able to overcome that?
They are, and one of the large telecoms in the UK is a great example. They employ over 250 apprentices at any one time. And what they do is they typically ring fence them. So they're giving them discrete tasks that can be easily checked by other more experienced professionals. So they're not, just given full access. They're given unlimited access. They're able to, and then they essentially build on that experience over the 2-year period. So there is some oversight that has to happen, and you do have to understand in its context of data privacy and all the other, security regulations and all, internal policies. But it is achievable, and it's a great opportunity for those who, don't want to go to college, or who are unable to do so, whether they can't afford it, or they do 2 years of community college and are ready to enter the workforce. It just provides another avenue to do so.
I would say that's probably one of the biggest draws towards certification versus going the traditional academic route through a 4-year degree or whatever, is that you're immediately level the playing field. I no longer have to go to one of the better schools to put on my resume to say, oh, I've got good skills in X, Y, or Z. With IT certification, everybody can just go pay the money, ride the ride, and if you win, great, you get a certification, and I'm just as good as anybody else that took that exam and got that certification. I didn't have to go to some sort of, Ivy League school or anything to make my case in the world that I know what the heck I'm talking about.
I had a 4.0 at Yardale.
Yes, you did. You got to throw your pinky up as you hand their resume over.
Right.
But going back to, go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, no, Daniel, I was just going to say, it does field, and most importantly is, or at a deficit of 500,000 jobs or job openings in cybersecurity in the U.S. alone. And we just need to bring more people into that funnel. So if we can bring people through non-traditional routes, you don't have to have a PhD from Stanford in computer science, right? You could come from a community college or a technical school, or self-taught. And as you said, Daniel, those certifications help validate those skills and knowledge to get you, to allow you to enter the profession.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Zuckerberg dropped out.
So did Bill Gates.
There you
Bill
go.
Gates.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and they went and they got CertNexus certifications, I believe.
right,
That's how the story
right.
went. And
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah,
on
I don't want to
Optimistically.
take it. Right, I don't want to take all the credit. But.
yeah, that's what the Wikipedia article I just edited says.
right,
So it must be fact.
Right.
Well, Jeff, this is normally the part of the interview where I say, what's coming up for you guys in the future, but I know what's coming up for you guys because it's part of what we're doing here for CertNexus Month. So this is going out on Thursday, November 5th, and that's the same day as a webinar that Jeff will be doing along with Megan Smith-Branch on solving the cybersecurity skills gap with NICE. And so we just talked about NICE a little bit, but for those that are catching this in the morning and going to watch that this afternoon, what are you going to talk about a little bit in that one?
Yeah, we're going to take a deeper dive into both the opportunity that is available for people interested in cybersecurity, the cybersecurity profession, but also how the NICE help facilitates that. I touched at a high level, but we're going to dive deeper into it, looking at the categories, the framework of it, job roles, and how you can go about gaining the skills and knowledge that are mapped to those job roles that could help you gain further employment.
And you can head over to itpro.tv/webinars to sign up for that one. And don't worry, if you're listening to this later, these will all be archived, and so it will still be on that page at itpro.tv/webinars. It'll just be in the on-demand section after the time has passed, but it is 2 p.m. Eastern Time, Thursday, November 5th. So check that out. And then later in the month, we've got on Thursday, November 19th, Powering the Operation of New Mobility, how AI, IoT, 5G, and the cloud are shaping the future of transportation. And that's going to be with Elena Farnsworth, so excited about that one as well. I know, Don, that hits all the buzzwords that you're looking for. AI, 5G,
Farnsworth,
IoT, Farnsworth. So that one's exciting. And then we're doing Jeopardy as well, right, Jeff?
Yes, you are. So I will be honest, we had a tremendous amount of fun developing those questions, so hopefully you guys have a great time playing that game as well. So.
Yeah, that is coming up on November 13th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and so that'll just be on the IT Pro TV on-air page, so just sign up for a free subscription to IT Pro TV, and you can follow along in that and play along, and honestly find out which certifications you need to take. Does that cover kind of all of your areas of expertise, or did we focus the questions on a few specific areas?
We did. We focused mostly on cybersecurity and IoT. We did a little bit of AI and data science as well. And you may want to peruse your IMDb movies before entering as well.
Nice.
So,
trying to think of all the IoT movies.
There have been so many. Short circuit.
Is that IoT?
Batteries not included.
Johnny 5? I don't think that counts. Well,
When was the last time you heard that movie referenced?
Now I want to see if Daniel can get all those questions. Because Daniel, what did you teach for the CertNexus courses here?
The CyberSec first responder.
Okay, so you did the security side, so not the IoT, but you should get those questions anyway, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Don's the IoT guy now.
Apparently.
All right, so between the two of you guys, you should be able to answer all that. But I think we're going to have some members on playing along with that. And with all of those events, there are chances to win CertNexus T-shirts and exam vouchers. So definitely tune into those things live if you can, and have the opportunity to win there because those are worth some money. I mean, the T-shirts, yes, but the exam vouchers even more so. So, so Jeff, first of all, thank you for offering up those great prizes. I think that'll be a lot of fun, those events.
Great. Yeah, and thank you very much for having us and for allowing us to participate this month with you and furthering the skills in cybersec and IoT as well.
I think it's the first annual CertNexus month is what we'll be doing here because it comes right after Cybersecurity Month. You just roll right into CertNexus Month. I think it makes a lot of sense. Well, Jeff, thank you for taking the time to join us today. We really appreciate having you on.
Thanks, guys, and enjoy the rest of our election day or election week or month or whatever it may turn into be.
It's going to feel
big
like
bowl
it.
of popcorn. Yeah, right.
We'll know something by March, I think.
Right.
We'll know something.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and stay tuned,
All right,
everybody.
thanks.
We've got a little bit more Technado coming up right after this quick break.
This is Kevin. He's studying online for a Microsoft certification and using another online IT training service. He's also on his second pot of coffee today to stay awake. And this is Kyle. He's also studying Microsoft but using IT Pro TV. Rather than watching a boring voiceover PowerPoint, he's actually enjoying the training with two hosts in an interactive format. Both Kevin and Kyle have access to virtual labs and practice tests, but Kyle can also get help through a live chat with other IT Pro TV members and his instructors, as well as post to a Q&A forum. He can even search for exactly what he's looking for in the interactive video transcripts, all while paying less than Kevin. Oh, and Kyle can also watch in comfort via Roku app. Kevin and Kyle are both learning IT, but Kyle is enjoying the journey. Want to be more like Kyle? View the plans to start your IT Pro TV membership today.
Welcome back to Technado with Don Pizzette, and thank you so much to Jeff Felice from CertNexus, and we'll be hearing a lot more about CertNexus this month, so definitely stay tuned for that. But got a lot of news to get to, so let's jump right in with our first article, which is from ZDNet.com. AWS is opening yet another cloud computing region. Amazon Web Services is increasing its European presence with a new AWS region in Switzerland.
Well, I do want to point out the fact that the headline read like they were upset that another Jaws movie was coming out. You know, AWS is opening yet another cloud computing region.
How dare they?
AWS 19.
Yeah. 1,000.
Yeah, I don't know what region are we on by this point. It's a lot. But
I don't actually know the number of regions.
well, Switzerland makes sense because you're on the top of the mountain, so you get really good coverage over the whole area.
There you go.
I think it's how it works.
Well, let me tell you what's interesting about this one, because you might be asking yourself, they do have plenty of other regions, so why do we care? Well, Europe is special, right? You have the EU, and especially with privacy laws like GDPR, it's a heck of a lot easier if you're doing business with people in Europe to store the data in Europe. That's what they want, and having multiple regions will do that. As far as EU regions, Amazon already has Ireland, France, Germany, and Italy, and the UK, but I'm really confused if the UK counts as EU anymore or not.
They're not EU.
It's not
right?
in
They
the
did
EU,
Brexit.
but it is
thought
in
they
Europe as a
Brexit-
continent.
But somebody said the Brexit isn't final yet. I'm
They
confused.
voted for it for like
No,
twice.
Hey, we vote for stuff all the
Pretty
time
sure
too.
true.
So.
Brexit's final, but they have like a stay of execution on
Okay.
the trade deals.
So this particular region stands out because it is in Switzerland, and Switzerland is known for many things, one of which is being neutral in every war that we seem to have a record of. So like World War I, World War II, Switzerland was neutral. And when it comes to the EU, believe it or not, Switzerland is not a member of the EU. They are completely surrounded by EU nations. In fact, I did a little research before the podcast.
Nice.
I'm very studious. Switzerland and Liechtenstein, which is a little micro-state right next to it, are both not part of the EU. So Switzerland does have a number of contracts in place to be able to, or treaties really, in place to make them kind of EU compatible, so they are behind the trade deals and all. But if you are storing data in the EU, you might be concerned about the EU's level of access to that data and the various rules you have to comply with. Well, if you are looking for neutral territory to store your data, Switzerland is a potential win. It could also be a potential loss, though. If you are dealing with GDPR rules, you might not realize that by storing data in Switzerland, you're actually storing it outside of the EU. So I thought that was important to mention. It's neat that they're opening up a region there, but it does have some special concerns.
I did want to say that, didn't this article say they already had like 5 regions or something? Was that the 5 regions you were talking about?
Yeah, the next one coming.
I thought you meant in our It sounded like they were saying in Switzerland. That's crazy.
Those would be availability zones.
Oh, availability zones.
And
That's what
yep,
it
it
was.
used to be that when Amazon would move in somewhere, they'd build one availability zone, which is like one data center.
Yeah.
And then they would add more later on down the road. But lately, they've been building like 3 at a time. So I don't know the number, but I wouldn't be surprised if they built multiple AZs right there in that one region.
It's nice to have options.
Yeah, they have the money for it.
Yeah. It would be kind of funny if, like, because of the whole idea of the EU and the GDPR privacy, if they were able to create some sort of almost DLP-ish type of functionality where, oh, this data is leaving Switzerland, we got to scrub it, and then it can go, and then once it gets to the other side, then you can kind of re-add, almost like proxies on each end, like Vint. I bet Vint Surf could make this happen.
But the devices that did the scrubbing would have to be able to read the data, which means now you lose privacy. It's a whole mess.
There's a trust model going on in there somewhere.
Is this all just a big move so that Jeff Bezos can move his money to Switzerland?
It's probably already there.
Banking laws.
You could just buy Switzerland and then...
Like
there's
Apple
that.
at one point where they had it was like $40 billion in cash sitting in Ireland, just sitting there.
You could do like Ted Turner. Didn't he own like a strip of land from Texas to Montana where he could walk or ride or drive or whatever from Texas to Montana and never be off his own property?
Huh.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
No,
Neat.
it's interesting.
That's bigger than Switzerland. It sounds like
It might be.
I don't know how wide this area was, but then the next location coming in Europe, well, actually in the EU, is coming in Spain in 2023. So I'm sure we'll be talking about that story when it happens. But yeah, that's exciting. So
Take that, Microsoft.
yeah, yeah. What's Azure got? Who knows?
Yeah.
And I don't think we said it, but the name of the region will actually be AWS Europe Zurich. So
Zurich.
it will say Zurich on it.
And then you could kind of like be pretentious about it. Like, oh, I'm an
My data's in Zurich right now for the
My
weekend.
data is neutral in this complex.
Yes.
Yeah, that will be nice in World War III, though, to know that your data is
Yeah.
secure. All right, our next article comes to us from the good people at tech.slashdot.org. Brave browser first to nix. I
CNAME.
told you I was going to ask about how to do these acronyms. CNAME deception. So what is the CNAME deception, Don?
All right, so a lot of people use ad blockers to block ads on sites. Some people go a little bit further and use like a DNS hosts file to block known ad servers. So ad networks have to take extra steps to be able to make it harder to block ads. And, an example, you might go to CNN.com. And on CNN's website, it might load ads from 40 different servers. Well, if you block those servers, then the ads don't show up, right? But CNN can create CNAMEs, these aliases, right, nicknames for other domains, and they could call it like ad1.cnn.com, ad2.cnn.com, and so they appear as if they're under the cnn.com domain. Well, you don't want to block CNN's domain because that's what you're trying to get to. So in that scenario, you're doing CNAME deception. You're hiding the ads behind a name like this. Well, what the Brave browser is going to do is they're rolling out a new feature. I think they say the date that it's coming out. It's soon. And what it's going to do is anytime it goes to resolve a resource for an image or an embedded item, it's going to explode the CNAME. It's going to look for the server name behind it. And if it doesn't match the parent domain, it's going to block it by default. So they're effectively going to block CNAME deception. And that's important because it is a way that people track you. Brave is obviously very concerned about privacy, but it also breaks other things that we might actually want to have happen sometimes. So it'll be an interesting time to see how that shakes out.
Yeah, what are the other uses of this CNAME technology as opposed to just ads?
So, maybe you've got images that are stored in an S3 bucket. So it's an Amazon S3 bucket, which has to have its own namespace and all that, and you want to hide that from your users so they don't necessarily see that complexity. You might use a CNAME to map that away. You might be using CNAMEs to point to load balancers behind the scenes. And the load balancers, again, maybe they're AWS load balancers, so they have a different name altogether, and you're just trying to hide the complexity. It kind of breaks that. If we have to remove that hiding the complexity, the trade-off is by revealing the complexity, we can better determine if we're getting ads and tracking and so on.
I like this. It says that other browser vendors are planning related defenses. Mozilla has been working on a fix in Firefox since last November. And there was Apple Safari is working on this. I don't see Edge or Chrome.
Well, so remember the trick here is this is an attack on advertising tracking, right?
Oh, that's
so
right.
Google
That's
does
kind
not
of how
want
they
it.
make their living, right?
Right. Google doesn't want it. Microsoft Edge is now based on Chromium, so they've got that. Firefox, well, the majority of Firefox's revenue comes from Google. So, the biggest browsers that are out there are effectively in Google's pocket, and so they're not excited about this feature. But then some of the others, the more fringe things like, what is it? Oh, shoot, I forgot the name. I almost said Opera. Opera got taken over. What's the new Opera?
Oh, is there an Opera? Is there Opera's still a thing?
Whatever they call it. Starts with Vivaldi. There we go.
Oh, Vivaldi.
So Vivaldi and Brave and those guys, they don't care. And so they put in these protections that makes them more
So
attractive.
the question comes, okay, so we've got advertisements, right? Now, the reason I block ads is because they're annoying.
Yes.
Right? I don't care to be advertised to, honestly. That's how I find out about products and things of that nature has historically been. So can't we just work on making ads less in your face and make it more palatable?
Well,
that would be
as
a
the
better solution, I think.
As the marketing representative here, I will say no. We've been told to make them stand out.
Gotcha.
So.
The modals that lay on top of a page but aren't a pop-out window.
Oh, my goodness.
Autoplay videos, that drives me crazy. Click hijacking, all these different things that websites do these days.
You wonder why there's a surge in violent crime.
Remember the old days of the pop under?
Oh, yeah.
The pop up,
Those
you'd
were
close
great.
it, then you'd be like, When
What
was
is all
I on
this?
this?
Yeah.
I can't believe I won a free dinner at Red Lobster.
Yeah, again?
Heck yeah.
Good for me. But
Those Cheddar Bay biscuits, right?
So, Don, in your example, with things that are hosted in S3 bucket or something like that, would those images just not show up? Would it be like a broken image link, or is it going to alert you? Hey, we've seen these things. Would you like to allow them?
So they haven't rolled out the feature, so I haven't had a chance to see it yet. But if it works like other types of blocks, the element just won't show up. And that'll be that. You used to get the broken image tag, but think about it. Like, when's the last time you saw a broken image tag? We don't really get those. Most browsers just hide that element now.
Interesting. All right, so Brave just broke the internet. So we'll have to see how.
One piece at a time.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll have to.
It's brave of him.
Yeah.
Ah, nice.
You said to wait for the show.
I said save all your
Here
puns.
they are.
Yeah, he was getting his puns out early, and I can't have that. All right, well, let's move on to our next article, which is over at arstechnica.com. Is this SpaceX? SpaceX. SpaceX Starlink public beta begins. It's $99 a month plus $500 up front.
Oh, I thought this was a Kevin SpaceX.
That's been canceled.
Yeah.
Better than nothing beta to have speeds up to 150 megabits per second, latency as low as 20 milliseconds. And better than nothing is the name of the beta, which I guess
Somebody in the comments wrote,
Yeah.
beta than nothing was right there. Come on.
So, I assume this means basically they're targeting people that don't have other options.
Right.
Because 150 megabits per second is not blazing fast compared to.
There's a lot of people, IT people like myself, who are skeptical of the Starlink program. And so, they're getting out there and they're putting their money where their mouth is, and they're trying to demonstrate this technology. So, we've had satellite internet for a long time. HughesNet and what was the Dish TV one? They had just a number of different satellite internet services, and they all ended up kind of the same. They had huge amounts of latency. Like, if you got under 1 second of latency, you were super lucky. So 1,000 milliseconds. It was normally 2 seconds, and that was what you got, which is maybe okay for streaming video, but not okay for Skype calls or anything like that. So painful amounts of latency. And then they typically weren't high bandwidth. You usually got like 10 to 15 megabit of bandwidth on the things. And you almost always had insane data caps that were as low as like 50 gigabytes a month. And
I think Ronnie was telling me back when I first started back at IT Pro TV, Ronnie has satellite internet.
Yeah.
He said it was like 16 gigs or something. It was like stupid low.
So he would come to the office and do the online sync for his Netflix shows and stuff, and then take them home and
Back up the entire internet every day before going home.
And that's the reality for a lot of people, right? So Starlink comes out and says, hey, we've launched a ton of satellites, and we're going to launch a ton more. We're going to cover the whole planet with these satellites, and you're going to be able to get this low-cost internet, and it's going to be 150 megabit, and it's going to have latency between 20 and 40 milliseconds. That's a bold claim right there. And so I have a hard time believing that. But the beta's opened up, and honestly, $99 a month is what I pay for my fiber, and I get gigabit fiber, and it's amazing, and I love it. This is not the same. But if you have nothing else, yeah, it's expensive, but this is better than nothing.
If they just roll out that 5G and people stop burning those towers down.
Yeah.
That's why they're putting them in
this, right?
space. Starlink's like, we got to put these up here because otherwise people can reach them.
What if it turned out that the 5G towers actually did cause COVID, except for the ones made by Huawei? Like, those are the only safe ones.
China's the one country that's fine. Like, I told you guys.
I'm trying to sell you these 5G towers.
Yeah.
Burn them down.
Try to help. What do you get? No good deed goes unpunished.
So I'm reading.
Just so everybody knows, that is not the case.
It's not true.
That is called a joke.
All right. Well, I was about to play the tinfoil hat intro there. So I read in the article, there's a guy in Washington State that was talking about his experience so far. Is this nationwide? Do we know if this is in certain areas only?
So when they announced the beta originally, they said they were limiting it to Washington and I believe Oregon, so the Pacific Northwest.
Okay.
And then they said they were going to expand it out. Now, I don't know if they've expanded it out yet or not, but they plan on it. And eventually their goal is to hit the whole planet.
I thought they did say something about southern states, or maybe that was in the comments.
I think it's
or
southern
something.
Canada.
Southern
as
Canada?
well.
Was that what it was?
Is in
Hopefully.
the hope, so.
Yeah, you're right. Southern Canada. There it is.
I believe
Plans
it's
to
pronounced
provide
Canada.
Starlink.
Which is like
Canada.
the southern U.S. in a lot of ways.
And Starlink is going to be in a school district in Texas in early 2021.
There you go. So these satellites are those low orbit satellites. They're small. They can dump hundreds of them at a time off of one rocket. And so the idea of them covering mass amounts of area is pretty realistic versus the old satellite internet where you're really just hitting like 2 different satellites, and that was it. And that's why the latency was so long. Now you can hit satellites a lot closer.
What about when it rains?
You might experience problems.
Yeah.
That is. But again, if you go back to the idea of it's this or nothing,
Sure.
then this is better.
And, you know, maybe by being low orbit satellites, maybe
You
rain
get
doesn't
better-
affect
yeah,
them as
might
much.
not be
We'll
as
have to
bad.
see.
More power.
Yeah, that will be interesting too. And the fact that there's multiple satellites too you're connecting to, maybe you're kind of circumventing the system. You know,
Yeah.
I can't use my hands. But yeah,
We'll have to see. I'm looking forward to it because I think it would be great to be able to have a
yeah.
bandwidth system or a broadband system available to everybody, regardless of where you were.
And then you could go backpacking in the Swiss Alps or whatever and still have high-speed internet.
I mean, work from home. You can get a cabin in the mountains.
Yep.
You can connect to your.
Man, I am out of here, Don, if this joke goes out. I'm going to put a studio in the cabin in the mountains.
There you go.
If you put it near the Zurich region, you can just get.
I don't have to worry about GDPR.
Yeah. And I hope this goes better than Elon Musk's last big, announcement where he threw a baseball at the Cybertruck and broke the window.
That was so funny that
was so
happened because
good.
it seems like they would have tested that beforehand.
Yeah, like, we're going to throw this out. Oh, that broke.
I mean, that adrenaline was pumping, maybe. Or
He slung a
got-
112 mile an hour fastball.
dang,
Elon's got an arm.
Yeah, but does not have a good truck.
No, that truck sucks.
Well, the window sucks. The rest of the truck might be great.
We don't know.
Windows.
it looks like the guys at Star Trek were like, let's make a truck.
Yeah. It's
Space truck.
John DeLorean came back to make a truck
Yeah,
briefly,
yeah.
but
No gull wing doors.
we digress.
No,
I
we
don't even
don't.
know. Does it have?
I
doors?
want to ride this train for a while.
Okay. Oh, the clock just ran out on that segment.
darn
So gotta move on. Our next article is over at Engadget.com. Windows 10 update removes Flash and prevents it from being reinstalled. The optional release paves the way for the death of Flash in 2021. And so we reported on this coming up. So this is out now, and you can't get it back?
So the update is out now, but it is a optional update. You can choose to accept it. It's pretty neat. This is, as far as I'm aware, one of the first times this has happened. Most people assume that Adobe Flash is dead already and that you don't need it anywhere. Most websites do not use Adobe Flash anymore. It had insane amounts of security vulnerabilities over the years, and so we are better off without it. Absolutely. This update, unlike a normal update from Microsoft, will actively uninstall Adobe Flash if it is installed in your system. Granted, you could do that yourself, God forbid, but this update will do it for you. And then it goes the extra step of preventing Flash from being reinstalled in the event that you go to a website that says it needs it. You won't be able to install Flash on your system. So it's a great way for system admins. Like if you want to make sure you work at a hospital and you want to make sure that none of your machines run Flash, you can use a group policy to approve this update. They'll all get it. Flash will be removed from your system, and now you're safe. There have been some varying reports of how effective it is at actually removing Flash. So in some scenarios, it's not working quite well. But Microsoft was looking at keeping this optional into 2021, and the goal is by January of 2021 to officially end support for Flash, and that's only 2 months away.
Doctors everywhere spun up virtual machines with XP.
Yeah, you got to watch your Homestar Runner, you know.
Yeah, how am I supposed to play all those awesome Flash games from the early 2000s?
Strong Bad's got to check his mail.
And they're replacing it with Microsoft Silverlight. That's a forced update
Man.
now.
Boy, Silverlight came and
Let's
went,
keep
didn't
the
it?
gloves up there, okay, guys? I'm going to take a point next time.
Yeah, that'll be. I don't know. People will be trying to get that off just like Edge. So we'll see. God, I miss Silverlight. I was supposed to be
I
the
know.
future.
Yeah.
What would be funny is if it was like all these like necessary systems required Flash. they blocked it.
I'm sure there's stuff, like web applications that were written in the earlier days that haven't been updated and rely on Flash. That's got to happen.
I'm sure there's like a Flash based something out there that's running like a dam or something. You're like, oh no!
Yeah, but oh God, we can't get it back now. Yeah, roll it back.
There have been people talking about there's the Internet Archive, and they're trying to archive all these old video games.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a whole Flash game culture, like the Elf Bowling for Christmas.
Squares 2 was one of the best games ever.
And a lot of those games that we all played in the earlier days of the internet, and once Flash goes away, you
They're
can't
gone.
run those. Yeah.
So what was there a decision made that, hey, it's just not worth it to try to patch all these security holes as opposed to just get rid of this thing? Because I can't believe, it was Macromedia originally, and then it was Adobe, right? So they've got the money to do this.
If we travel back in time, basically Adobe was not taking security seriously. They still aren't, right? And so
Who's
it
got
was
time
just
for that, Don?
vulnerability after vulnerability, kind of like Oracle with Java, just mess after mess after mess. And so finally it was Apple, right? Steve Jobs said, that's it. We're not going to support Flash on Macs anymore. And he started when the iPhone launched. He said, nope, no Flash on the iPhone. Because the first Android phones that came out actually had Flash.
Yeah, that was annoying at the beginning because that was back at a time when there was a lot of stuff that still used Flash on a lot of common sites.
And this would have been 2007, right around there. And so when Apple did that, when they pulled the plug, that was it. That signaled the end for Flash. Although here we are 13 years later, and it's still ending. Yeah.
I wonder if that made like an impact in Android sales at that point in time. We're like, well, I can't do all my Flash stuff, so screw you, I'm going Android.
They had advertisements on TV and stuff. They were like, oh, you want to run Flash?
Yeah.
Or Android, it's a Flash. And they had stuff like that was all targeted at iOS. Yeah.
Flash.
It didn't run it well, but it did run it. Yeah.
All right, well,
there you go.
Pour one out for Flash tonight.
Yeah, buddy.
Because if it's...
It'll still be around in 13 years.
Yeah.
Like, I ported it with Python, and then I...
You can still get it on Linux.
Yeah.
Right? All right, our next article is from threatpost.com. WordPress patches 3-year-old high-severity RCE bug. If this has been around for 3 years and it's high severity, what?
So, RCE, remote code execution. So that means there's a bug in WordPress where somebody can
the best kind of
remotely-
code execution.
Hold on, there's a bug in WordPress?
I know.
That can't be.
But, so few people run WordPress.
The hell you say?
Oh, wait, it's like 40% of the internet, right? So it does have a bug. This one is an interesting one, and I wanted to quiz Daniel on it because, in the headline, high severity, it's RC, it's been there for 3 years, you're screwed. But... when you start digging into the details, it's like there's no evidence of it being used in the wild. It's actually really tricky to pull it off because you have to do a denial of service attack against the MySQL database in the background, make WordPress think the database has gone offline, and then you're able to pull off this remote code execution. Like, there's all these hoops you have to jump through. To me, this sounds like the most unrealistic thing to take advantage of ever. So why did it get a high severity? So Daniel, what is your take on it?
So it's probably high severity because of of what it can do. Like if you were to have those stars and moon align and find those perfect set of circumstances, you would basically own any WordPress site that had those set of circumstances happening. So that's the high level of severity that comes in through it. But honestly, I see this a lot when you read about like threats. Oh, this was disclosed. It would be really, really difficult for anybody to actually do any of what we're talking about. It's really just theoretically possible. But so we're going to create a CVE. We're going to put some discussion here. There's no proof of concept codes or anything like that. Yeah. Now, this guy did say that the reason it took so long for disclosure on this was because, they were fairly sure that it wasn't being exploited in the wild because of the difficulty of the right circumstances being available, and they wanted to kind of suss out all possible proofs of concept for it.
Trying to find the right situation where it worked. And because it is 3 years old, it does affect every version of WordPress from 3.7 all the way through 5.5.1. They released an update, 5.5.2, that fixed it, and it will be fixed in 5.6 when that one rolls out. So all you have to do is update, but, WordPress is on 40% of the internet, and most people don't do updates in a reliable fashion. So it is something that can be, exploited. It does require basically doing a DDoS against the database on the back end to take advantage of it. So, if you're getting hit by a DDoS, this might be the next step after that DDoS hits.
There's some APT out there going, oh no, we just lost our favorite avenue of attack.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, I mean, if Microsoft has to write an update that automatically deletes something that's 13 years old, then I'm guessing that...
the update game is not strong in most organizations.
Yeah, apparently not. Yeah, but this one works for me, so why would I update it? Last time we updated, remember, it broke that thing, and that took all night?
I had to refactor a bunch of code and ditch a bunch of software we use.
That's a challenge with WordPress. Every time you update it, if you're using plugins, and some websites are overloaded with plugins, if those plugins haven't been updated, now your site breaks. And so in a way, it is a culture of not doing updates.
Yeah, because if it's a legacy plugin or something that they're not supporting anymore, but hey, you've used it for years, it's gonna break everything. So that's terrible. All right, well, update your WordPress, delete Flash, Any other lessons from today? Was that it?
Don't buy a Tesla truck.
Yeah.
Don't buy a Tesla truck.
Windows.
Get the internet from space.
You know, Elon's got the money to come after us. We keep talking about his truck like that.
And you're not, yeah.
I love your truck, Elon. Don't let these yahoos
Truck
tell
just
you.
rams through the set here.
Elon's in it,
No, but
drinking beer.
He'd hit these bricks and the truck would fall apart. Based on what I've seen. And these are fake bricks.
Yeah, it's like an old Bugs Bunny cartoon. He hits the fake bricks, and just like everything just starts falling apart.
Yeah, just paint a hole on the side of the wall, and
he
can
drives
just
through
right
it.
through
Yeah.
There you go.
That'll get him. All right. Well, I mentioned a little bit earlier, but I want to mention again, we've got a couple of cool webinars coming up right now over at itpro.tv/webinars. That's where you can sign up. We've got Solving the Cybersecurity Skills Gap with NICE, and that is with Jeff Felice, who was on earlier today, and that is Thursday, November 5th, the day that this comes out, but also available for archive over at itpro.tv/webinars. So check it out there, and while you're there, sign up for the next one, which is on Thursday, November 19th, and that's Powering the Operation of New Mobility, how AI, IoT, 5G, and the cloud are shaping the future of transportation. And it's probably all about the Cybertruck as well, because I think all those things are
We should
involved.
just do a Cybertruck webinar.
We're just bash on it.
Like, we're gonna run it through its paces. We're just gonna. It's ugly. This angle's dumb. I don't even know why I did this. Elon Musk, he's drunk.
I mean, it would get views, but I don't think I have that in the Technado budget.
Oh yeah, to buy a Cybertruck.
I haven't seen one of those in the wild yet. No, I've seen one.
You did?
I've seen one.
Did
Yeah,
you really?
down
Where'd
in
you see
Tampa.
it?
They
In
actually
Tampa?
sell them?
I thought I saw one. Maybe it was a test or something.
I didn't think they sold them.
Is the Cybertruck?
What's that run? Ballpark.
Probably $100,000, right?
Come on, we can sell a
Is it
kidney or
out?
something. Can't we?
What's our ad revenue? It's $0.
From
well,
Technado? No, Technado.
Maybe
can't afford
Elon
it.
will donate a Cybertruck for us to tear apart, and then maybe we'll find out, just like his SpaceX thing. Put it through its paces, man. I believe in the Cybertruck. Don't throw baseballs at it because that's
It
kind
says
of
order
Achilles
now.
heel, but
Yeah.
So-
All right.
Oh, late 2021. Okay, I don't know what I
So
saw.
it's not out yet.
Maybe I saw somebody who put a bunch of cardboard boxes on the side of their real truck and it looked the same because that's what it looks like. It's stupid. All right. We've also got CertNexus Jeopardy coming up. That is taking place on November 13th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. You can tune in live at the IT Pro TV on-air page to watch that and see all the questions, see if you can follow along and get them right yourself. It's always easier at home to play Jeopardy than it is in real life, but we'll have 3 members from IT Pro TV playing along there. So check that one out. Head over to go.itpro.tv/IT-Jeopardy to learn more about that. And like I said, you can win CertNexus exam vouchers and CertNexus t-shirts, or both. I don't know. Maybe you can get both if you watch a webinar and then go to Jeopardy as well. So check that stuff out, and happy CertNexus month to all of you. And happy CertNexus month to you, gentlemen.
Yeah. Oh,
Thank you.
I didn't get you anything.
That's where you just say it back.
oh,
Gosh, so rude. The war on CertNexus month has already started. All the CertNexus carols.
I didn't think you were talking to me.
I said gentlemen. Oh, okay.
See?
No, I see the problem.
You see?
I see.
Thank you.
No,
Validation.
I screwed that up. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you guys next week right here on Technado with Don Pizzette.
Ron
Bon,
Pizzette.
You like a
Ron
porky pig
Pizzette.
over there?
Technado,
Cybertruck
Don Pizzette.
30.
See you next week.
Over and out.